What's going on, guys? It's Matt Wong, and today I am coming at you from a different setting. I am currently in a hotel room in Boston, Massachusetts because I am traveling for work, and I wanted to jump on here and make a quick video about how I stay on track with training and with diet while traveling. Because for me, travel is one of the hardest times to stay on track because you're not in your normal routine, you don't have access to your normal equipment, your normal food, and so it can really be a challenge, and has been a challenge for me to stay on track with when I have particular diet goals and training goals that I'm trying to achieve. And I actually travel quite a bit for work. I'm usually traveling like a week to 2 weeks out of every month for work all over the country and sometimes out of the country. So over time, I've kind of had a few tips and a few tricks that I've developed that have helped me a lot to stay on track, and hopefully they can help you too, whether you're traveling for work or for leisure. You do not have to accept that you are going to go off the rails when you're out of town. There are ways that you can stay on track, and I wanted to share with you a couple of tips today. So I'm gonna split this video up into two segments. The first one being training and exercise, and then the second one being diet and nutrition. So to start with training and exercise, the first tip I have for you guys is whenever possible, try to work out in the morning. If you get your workout in before anyone else is up, it's one, going to minimize the amount of people in the cramped hotel gym that are competing for machines and equipment, and two, it's gonna minimize the potential for things that come up that aren't in your schedule to derail your workout. So for example, if you're traveling for work, maybe you have an impromptu dinner with customers or coworkers that gets in the way of when you were gonna work out, or if you are traveling for leisure, maybe you have something fun that your friends or family suggest that you guys do that night that you weren't planning on. And if you didn't already work out, then you're just not gonna work out that day. So trying to get it done in the morning is the best in my experience. The second tip that I have for you guys is if you travel frequently enough for it to make it worth it, so I suggest investing in some sort of a national gym membership like Crunch Fitness or 24-Hour Fitness, or for me, I belong to LA Fitness in addition to my other gym at home. And I travel so much to so many different places that it's well worth it for me to have an LA Fitness nearby. And I can almost always, no matter where I'm at in the United States, if I'm near a major city, I can usually sneak off to an LA Fitness in the morning and get my workout in and have access to the full range of equipment that I would want. So if you travel frequently, I'd say maybe more than a week or two out of every month, you could consider doing that instead of having to rely on hotel gyms. The third tip for exercise is if you're not gonna do a gym membership, kind of that national gym membership, and you're just gonna rely on hotel gyms, just acknowledge mentally that you're probably not gonna be able to get everything in that you normally would, and just try your best to get creative with whatever the hotel has to offer. Usually they'll have a cable machine, and sometimes they'll have a Smith machine, and they'll usually have some kind of leg machine, like a leg press. Sometimes the hotel that I'm staying at right now has a squat rack, which is amazing. A squat rack that can be used as like a bench press, as other things too, but that is not normal. Most of the time they'll have maybe like dumbbells that go from like 10 to 45 and then a cable machine. That's pretty typical. So if you can get creative with a cable machine, which there are a lot of ways that you can use a cable machine to get any body part worked out and work any muscle group, that's pretty much what you're gonna have to do, is just get creative with what you've got. So try to figure out what you can do with the equipment you have, and just accept that you're not gonna get every exercise that you want to in for your traveling workouts. And the last tip that I have for you for exercise is if you don't travel frequently and maybe you're going on vacation, maybe a couple times a year or something like that, instead of trying to do all this and work it in and develop this routine, you could just potentially just schedule a deload week for that week and maybe hit the hotel gym like a few times during the week and do a light workout. Let yourself recover, let yourself enjoy. Don't feel like you have to like go extra hard because you're on vacation. You don't want to slip up and you don't want to lose progress or anything like that. You will not lose that much progress. You won't lose any progress if you're gone for only like a week or two. And if you're gone for longer than that, you won't lose that much, and it will come back very fast. So don't worry if you're not getting everything in that you want to. It's gonna feel like you have taken forever off from the gym and that you're falling out of shape, but you really are not losing that much muscle. And we know that through data. So don't worry about it that much. If you can do the things that I suggested and try your best to stay on track, that's great. But if you aren't able to, it's really not that big of a deal if it's only for a week or two. All right, real quick, I just thought of something else after I finished the video and started getting ready. So When you are doing workouts in the hotel gym with dumbbells, since they're not going to go as high as you probably need, they might only go up to like 45 or 50. Try to do your exercises in a way where the sets are much longer and more controlled, so that you can still get a good set to failure, if you will. You might have to do like 25 or 30 reps with the 50s on whatever exercise and just max out the dumbbells you have there available. But given enough reps, you will go to failure. So try to just continue going to failure, even if it takes you many more reps. Okay, that is all. Back to the video. All right, so moving on to the second part, which is diet and nutrition and how to stay on track with that. Planning ahead really is the name of the game here, and that's your best bet to stay on track with your nutrition. What does that look like and how do I do that? I actually will pack protein snacks in my suitcase. Like, I will go to Costco and I will buy, depending on the length of the trip, I will buy like individual protein shakes, like those little carton Premier protein shakes that are like 30 grams of protein each. And I'll just throw the whole box in my bag if it's a long enough trip. Usually I'll bring like 4 or 5. I think I brought like 4 for this trip. Or I'll bring like protein bars or some sort of protein packed snack, so that I can have that on hand, because I know I want to hit my protein and I don't know what access I'll have. So at least having that gives me a little bit of a shot at being able to get that extra boost in every day. One other thing that I like to do is finding out what restaurant I'm going to be going to and then pulling up the menu and just making my selection beforehand, so that I don't look at the menu and pick something unhealthy that maybe I wouldn't have picked if I wasn't with friends and already had a few drinks. It's just much easier to make that decision and that selection beforehand and stick to it than to have to make the healthy decision in the moment when you're having fun with everybody. So I would recommend pulling up the menu beforehand and making a selection at that point. And for your selection at restaurants, generally, I feel like you can still enjoy yourself and eat healthy at the same time at most restaurants. What I like to do is really lean towards dishes that are maybe more of like a meat based, like a steak, chicken, or fish, along with some sort of vegetable. And sometimes if I'm really trying to make up for maybe having a few more drinks than I would have, or just trying to be a little more strict, I'll ask if I can substitute out. Most of the time they come with like mashed potatoes or rice, and most of the time I'll substitute that out with more vegetables if possible. So I just literally have a nice plate of like meat and vegetables, and it's still delicious. It's still like, it's not a weird thing to order, really. People aren't gonna look at you funny if you order something like that. But it'll be much more macro friendly and much more friendly to your nutrition plan in the long run. So if you wanna go the extra mile, you can do that substitution, but just looking at the menu, picking something that is high protein, meat based with vegetables is generally a good option. And most restaurants usually have something like that on their menu. And I touched a little bit on alcoholic drinks. I think that with traveling, you just have to acknowledge that you're going to be drinking if you're someone who does that. Like for me, when I'm traveling for work, usually there's like a couple glasses of wine at dinner with coworkers or customers, maybe an old fashioned or two, or something else if I want to try it from the restaurant. So I kind of just acknowledge that I'm going to probably be consuming alcohol. I'm just being real with myself. But I try to make those drinks as calorically friendly as possible. So like my main drink that I usually get when I'm drinking is either the old fashioned or like a vodka and Diet Coke, or a vodka and sugar-free Red Bull if I really need that extra jolt and a little bit of caffeine. Just drinks that have, you know, alcohol plus some sort of sugar-free mixer. When the drinks get really sugary, I think that's really where the calories add up. So try to stay away from the sugary drinks and get something that maybe has some sort of diet soda or just low sugar mixer in it. Don't feel like you have to limit yourself to no alcohol at all. I feel like that's not the point of traveling, especially if you're traveling for leisure. You want to have fun, so don't feel like you have to completely limit yourself in that way. And then kind of along the same line, understand and acknowledge that you're probably gonna be indulging a bit, so just plan accordingly. Either just accept that you're probably gonna either gain weight or not lose weight on this trip, or just what I like to do is stack my calories and kind of plan day by day and not eat that many calories in the morning and afternoon, so I can save them for at night when I'm having fun and maybe doing some, like I just said, maybe having a dinner at a nice restaurant with coworkers or doing fun things. I like to try to save my calories so I can enjoy myself a little bit. That way I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to feel bloated. I don't have to feel those types of things because I overate so much throughout the day. So that's one tip as well, is just to save your calories for later in the day. Because generally I found when you're traveling, when you're eating out at these restaurants for dinner, that's when the most of your calories are consumed. So try to save them up for then. All right, guys, so those are some of the tips that really help me when I'm on the road. Like I said, I'm on the road probably 1 to 2 weeks out of every month. So I've kind of had some time to go through some trial and error with what works and what doesn't work. And these are some of the tips that have helped me out tremendously. So I hope they do the same for you. Happy travels, and I will see you in the next one.